Tracks has been through quite a few workshops. I wrote this play probably about 7 or 8 years ago, the first draft. I've had workshops in New York, off-Broadway. I've had workshops in Chicago, and this is the first production, so it's really exciting after so many workshops and so many different versions to actually see it. A lot of the actors are different than the versions that I had in my head, but it all works. I mean, it's really cool actually seeing the world, like sitting here in the kitchen and seeing this world like come to life, and the workbench and the banner and, you know, the Vienna sausages. I mean, little details about this play that are starting to come to life are really rewarding after, you know, 8 years. The original draft of the script was probably about 20 pages longer than this one. I cut out a lot of the fat. I think you realize as you're doing workshops and readings, when the actors are sitting there looking at a stand and aren't moving and aren't active, you get to see where the audience gets restless a lot quicker that way. And so you start to realize that some things can go, and some things can be better communicated by the actors and their bodies than by, you know, another monologue. Jim's great. I was a network playwright at Chicago Dramatists, and when Jim read the script, he was really enthusiastic about it from the beginning. And usually they sort of give you a rough sort of critique, and then you never hear anything back from them. And I would send Jim new drafts, and he would get back to me with notes, and I would send him other drafts, and he would get back to me with notes. So it's been a really cool collaboration that I hope we can continue. I was born and raised in a small town in West Virginia. Every time I go back home, I see the devastation that mountaintop mining has wrought to my home state. And I mean, just Google mountaintop mining images and you'll be horrified. It's devastating. So for me, you know, what I always try to do is to, I don't like writing plays that don't have a message or don't have a theme. I also don't like plays where you stand on your soapbox and talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours about what your personal or political views are. I think that's equally as boring as not having a view at all. What I like to do is take an issue and filter it through the lens of one person or one family and the struggles that they're going through, and personalize it that way. So that's really what I tried to do with this. I mean, they all sort of come from a personal place, and they're all sort of my babies, but I think that this one in particular, because I wrote it so long ago, and because mountaintop mining is such a huge issue that I think affects not only me but my family and my loved ones. My grandfather was a lifelong miner, you know, and my other grandfather almost died in a coal mining cave-in and then died from black lung. So, you know, my one grandfather who's actually still alive, I haven't shared him within the script, but I've talked to him about it. And, you know, coming from someone who grew up mining and sort of saw everything, you know, he bought his farm, he did all these things because of coal mining, and since the shift has happened and since the mines have started taking away the mineral rights of people in West Virginia and doing eminent domain, he's slowly starting to see everything that he's gained by coal mining get stripped away from him. So I think Campbell and my actual grandfather have a lot in common. And when we had the initial reading and I came in and Jim gave me the tour, I was really impressed. I mean, it's a big theater, and they have their stuff together, and you know, like it's been really cool seeing that. And I've never been to Valparaiso until now, and it's refreshing to see that there are people that are just this dedicated to quality theater and to new work. I mean, new work is always a risk. With subscribers and with reviewers and everything else, and to see a company that's so dedicated to bringing new work to the stage, I think is really refreshing. There's something really cool about the collaboration of a new work, and once you hear the words in the actor's head and then they ask you questions and then you have to actually provide them with answers, that you slowly start realizing what works and what doesn't. And so that's one of the cool things about new work, is realizing what works and what doesn't when it comes out of the mouth of an actor. The authenticity is really there, which I think is great. I mean, all these people are really dedicated to bringing these people to life, and I know that sometimes when you're dealing with a different dialect and when you're dealing with I would say, a different class of people in many ways. I mean, these are the poorest of the poor in West Virginia, and not a lot of people even know West Virginia is a state. So the fact that these people can breathe life into these characters, and I mean, I think what they do, what any good actor does, is they find the truth in themselves of these parts, and I think all of them are doing that.